What's going on? My name is Wee. I run an info product agency, and basically what that is I help create coaches, creators, people basically with an audience scale their info products. That can be like mentorship programs, coaching programs, courses, things like that. And yet in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I scaled. One of the creators I'm currently partnered up with, he had only 3,500 followers, but you can see here in just 3 days, right here, we were able to generate over $37,000. This is in pounds, but if you convert it, it's gonna be a little bit more because there's a couple other payments on the Stripe. But yeah, I'm gonna show you exactly how we made, over 37K with less than 3,500 followers. And this is the account right here. I can't fully show it to you guys just because of privacy reasons, so I don't want to leak his stuff. But yeah, you can see his followers less than 3,500. However, I'm gonna keep it real and be transparent. He also had a YouTube channel, had about 8.6K on there. Still not like a crazy high amount, but still gotta keep it real with you guys. And yeah, let me first break out why we're able to, do these kind of numbers, even though, his following was still kind of small. And that's because of the type of content this creator is posting. He was posting high value content, and he was also had high authority in the space he was in. And the reason why he had high authority with his audience is because this guy, he was on the older side. He had nearly 3 decades of experience in his field. So literally, that's as credible as you can get. He had nearly 30 years in that space, and yeah, everyone just knew he was credible because of that. He was posting content for quite a while now, and he was on a couple big news. He got interviewed by some news outlets such as like BBC and stuff back in his prime days, you could say, when he was doing this kind of stuff in his niche or field. And yeah, what I'm trying to emphasize on, even if you have a small following, as long as you have high authority and you're posting content that's very valuable to your content, you can still make tons and tons of money. And this is literally proof of it. So let's go now over how I actually launched this whole offer. So it was in 3 phases. I'm gonna show you guys exactly phase 1, which is the actual funnel we used. Phase 2, how we actually launched the offer. And then phase 3 is the sales process, which basically converts everyone that actually books a call into, paying clients. So yeah, let's first go into, phase 1. Phase 1, the kind of funnel or launch we went with is what I call a waitlist funnel. And how that basically works is you want to set a date out, like anywhere from 7 to 14 days out. And the whole point of setting that date out during that time span, that window, you're trying to collect as much leads as possible that are interested in this new offer. And yeah, while you're collecting these leads, you want to nurture these leads as well, and then hype them up as much as you can leading up to the actual launch date. So yeah, for our launch, we did this 10 days out. And how it worked was we basically pushed them all to this form right here where they would basically, give them or have a couple questions, and then they would join the waitlist. And these are kind of questions I was asking on the waitlist. Just, the common contact information, just asking their name, phone number, email, asking them how long they have done, X for. We also asked, how old they are, how much they have ready to invest, and what was the outcome of this program they would want coming out the program. So just some more market research, getting more data. And actually for this launch, originally we priced it at just $4,000 USD, but after, we were getting people filling out the waitlist, we found out because this guy, for context, is like an older guy, so his audience was like way over 40, so they just had a lot more money to invest. A lot of them, like nearly like 40-50% of the people filling out had like a lot of money to invest. So we went from 4,000, charging 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, which translates to about 6.6K USD. So pretty crazy. I definitely recommend you guys doing something like that on your waitlist form so you can get more data. And yeah, you never know, you could be able to charge more. Now let me go break down how exactly we drove traffic and got people to sign up for this waitlist. So we used YouTube, Discord, and Instagram. On YouTube first, it's the king of traffic, or traffic sources. Literally, this is where your most nurtured leads are gonna be. And what we did was he was posting videos, like 1 or 2 videos every week, and I just told him in the videos that he's posting to just do a call to action in the middle of his video and at the end of his video. And basically the call to action would be him talking about like having a new program that he's been building for quite some time now, and if people are interested, they can click the link in the description to join the waitlist, apply for the waitlist. Yeah, that's what we did for YouTube. Got a good chunk from YouTube. And then the next thing we did was Discord. So he actually didn't have a Discord community before we partnered up. I just thought it was best to have a community because I wanted his audience to all be inside his ecosystem. And what better way to do that is, putting them some sort of free community like Discord. And yeah, once we got them into the Discord, we nurtured the Discord for about like a week and a half before actually announcing the waitlist. But yeah, once we, were driving people, we had about like 200 people in the Discord. We just announced the waitlist, and got a good decent amount of people join the waitlist. as well. And then what we did to just drive traffic to the Discord, getting people to join the Discord free community, is just incentivizing with like free value. We're giving out free exclusive recordings that he only gave out to his other paid offer that was like a lower ticket offer. And we told them we had like weekly group calls. This got a lot of people in because they just got access to the creator himself, a guy with lots of expertise, high authority, like I was talking about. So a lot of people joined for this reason to be able to ask the guy questions, because it was kind of like a Q&A kind of group call. And yeah, that's pretty saucy. Definitely can recommend you guys doing that. And then lastly, he had an Instagram, although he had only like less than 3.5k followers. We got a decent amount from Instagram. And what I just did was did like IG story sequence every other day, just pushing the waitlist, having some sort of regular story, and then like the next day it would be a story just pushing people to the waitlist. And then we just had the IG bio in his link in description. These are the 3 traffic sources, and we just all send them to that waitlist form where they would fill it out, all those questions. But you don't want to stop there. So just because you got people actually signing up, you want to do the third step, and you want to actually nurture these waitlist people, members, or whatever you want to call them. And why you want to nurture them is you just want to nurture them, so once you do announce something, they're basically ready to buy, because you give them so much value. A lot of people are just got to take more action because of that. And how you want to nurture these waitlist members is we did it 2 ways, through emails and Discord. So on emails, how we nurture them is we were sending them an email every other day, nurturing the leads and basically giving them value. So this is kind of how the email sequence went. So once they joined, they would get sent a welcome email right here. And basically the welcome email was, just welcoming them, hyping them up about the waitlist, about the program coming in, and just kind of telling them more about the actual offer itself and when it's like officially, dropping. And then the next emails was kind of like a personal story email, so they can kind of, connect with the creator and, resonate with him and, just, stuff like that. And then, yeah, the next emails are like a value email where you just want to give value, whatever it is your niche is, you want to give value in that niche that people would find helpful. And then you also want to have some sort of case study email too. So this boosts your perception and authority, because, they're reading someone else that got results from that they've generated. So it just is really good. And then the 5th and 6th email, you can literally switch between like a value email and case study emails. They both work really well depending how long your launch is. If you're doing it for like 2 weeks, then yeah, you can just switch between these two. And then the last 2 emails are very important. The day before the launch, you want to release an email just hyping up the official day, letting people know the next steps, and just preparing them for the actual launch, and hyping them up as much as possible. And then the final email is just like the launch email. So yeah, I can kind of show you guys an example. This was like hyping up the actual launch the day before, and then this was the day of actually announcing the launch. So yeah. So that's for emails. Now let's kind of go into what we did for Discord. So for Discord, we were having like weekly group calls leading up to the actual launch of the offer. And basically on that weekly group calls, it's kind of like a mini webinar or whatever. You're basically nurturing these leads, giving them lots of value, and then also, letting them know about the program that's coming soon, and just getting people hyped and prepared about it and letting them know about it. So yeah, we did this for like 2 times before the actual launch. So yeah, a lot of people were getting nurtured from this, and this is really good because these calls are very like high value. They got, a lot of people were getting just all their questions answered, so we're just providing lots of value, which in turn means we're getting lots of goodwill built up from his audience in this Discord. So a lot of people, just took action when we officially announced it, like on Discord and things like that, because they were so nurtured. Now let's go to phase 2, the fun part where we actually launched it. So after you did the whole first phase correctly, you now want to launch it. Launch days come up, whatever your date is. This is kind of how we did it. So we did what was called a private launch. And basically what a private launch is, we didn't launch it, announce it publicly like on his Instagram or like YouTube, things like that. We just announced it to people, to basically all the waitlist members. So basically everyone that applied to the waitlist, we got their email and phone number. So we sent everyone that we had their email. We sent a launch email, and then because we also had their number, we also sent them like a SMS text blast, just announcing everyone on SMS that the offer is officially open for waitlist members. And then lastly, we also announced on Discord as well. And then this is kind of how you want to frame your announcements. You want to frame everything with like urgency, scarcity, make them feel FOMO, make it feel exclusive, and then lastly, you want to make them feel chosen. If you make them feel all these types of feelings, then you're gonna do really well on your actual launch and get lots of book calls. And then what you also want to do is have your dialer or setter on your team dial up every waitlist lead on the actual, waitlist. Like, as you want to basically milk your waitlist as much as possible, milk it, drain it till it's fully, sucked out, but drained till there's nothing left. Because what you want to do is maximize the amount of people booking calls. You want to follow up with these leads. Call, let's say they don't pick up, you triple dial, they don't pick up, you call them again the next day, they don't pick up again, boom, you follow up again and again and again until they book in or they tell you to stop bothering them, basically. So yeah, just go ham on them, and whole goal is booking these calls up. And yeah, just want to tell you guys, this is kind of what we did for the launch email. We had about pretty much like 100 people on the actual waitlist. So like I said, not too many people, but you can see here the open rate was pretty crazy, 72% open rate and a 44% click rate. So I did everything what I showed you guys right here, invoked all these feelings, and boom, had a lot of people take action. And literally within the first 30 minutes, we had over 15 booked calls. So it went pretty crazy, I'd say, pretty crazy. But yeah, you can see this email right here. Let me break it down real quick for you guys. You can see we're making them feel chosen by saying, it's their invitation to join the program. We're building up urgency right here, scarcity as well, and exclusivity, because we let them know limited spots are available. So just invoking all those kind of feelings and just getting people to take action. And yeah, so the funnel was pretty simple. So on the email, Discord announcement, and SMS blast, we had some copy, invoking those feelings, and then just sending them the link would be sending them straight to the application page. And once they got onto the application page, the leads would just fill out the form, and if they were qualified, we would then send them to a book a call page. And then once they would book a call, we would send them to like the confirmation page. So literally super simple, like 3 steps. You don't want to overcomplicate it, just make it as simple as possible. So everything is simple, easy. One thing I would definitely add, because this is like my first time launching this kind of offer, we didn't have like a downsell. We had a good chunk of people that were like unqualified, but they definitely could have bought like a different offer, like a mid-ticket offer or something. So definitely in my next launch for this offer, we do this again, I would have like some sort of downsell if people weren't qualified for the main offer, so we can maximize revenue. But that's literally the only thing I would change in the funnel. Besides that, keep it simple, keep it just like that. But yeah, so that's how we did for the phase 2. Let's go into phase 3, the actual sales process. So just because they book a call, you don't want to just end or stop there. You now want to have a whole process in place from once they book a call to the actual sales call itself, to nurture these leads, warm them up, and basically prepare them for the actual call. And your whole job, if you do this sales process right, you would basically want to have your closers' job just be cashiers, where they're literally hopping on calls and collecting money, because your sales process was so dialed in that the lead was just basically practically ready to hand you money. So yeah, you want to have your closers kind of look like this, like Squidward right here, and then you can be like SpongeBob. This is literally me cheesing, because we're hitting like 5-figure days like every day, because the sales process was so dialed in. And how you want to make sure the sales process works is, let's say after they book a call, you want to send to like a confirmation page, just letting them know their book and letting them know like their next steps. And then immediately after they book a call, right, within like 5 to 10 minutes, you want to have your dialer or whatever dial up these leads. And I say 5 to 10 minutes because speed to lead is key. Honestly, the earlier the better. Within like a minute, if you could do that, I definitely recommend that, because the faster you reach out to these leads, the better it's gonna be, because they just you gotta think of it from like the lead's perspective. They just booked a call for like a program that could potentially change their life. Because this was a biz offer. So yeah, it was basically an offer that potentially change your life, money wise. And yeah, they booked the call. They're excited. They're super excited. They're feeling all these feelings. And yeah, you want to capitalize on those feelings when they're at the peak of all their feelings, and you want to call them up and make sure you basically qualify them on the call. You want to qualify them and make sure they're qualified, and you want to make sure they also show up to the call, because you don't want to waste your closers' times and have them hopping on calls with people that are unqualified or don't show up to the call. And what you also want to do to really improve your show rate is have like some sort of virtual handshake at the end of the call. Like basically at the end of the call, you guys are wrapping up, you can just talk to the lead like, hey, just to make sure, I want to, can we virtually handshake? It might sound funny, but literally just like, can we just kind of do like a virtual handshake where you confirming with me right now that you're going to show up to the call. And then once they say yes, there's like some psychology behind it, but because they said yes, they are just kind of more inclined to actually show up to the call, because they said yes already. So yeah, once you do that, the setter or the dialer qualifies them, and the call is done. What they're gonna do now is create a group chat with the actual lead and also the closer. So and then they're gonna invite them into like the WhatsApp group chat, or it could be iMessage or whatever. And on that group chat, your closer is gonna take over and build. You want to have your closer build a connection with the lead. And why we want them to build a connection is so that we're building up rapport, we're nurturing these leads again, and they by the time they hop on the call, because they've talked to the closer, they already met the closer. Basically, their guard is going to be down. They're not going to be as tense on the actual call itself, and it's going to be more like a conversation really than an actual sales call. And yeah, you want to have the closer send like a video in the actual group chat, like a video or a voice memo message, just introducing themselves and asking if the lead has any questions. To feel free to reach out. And if the lead does have questions, the closer will just respond to all of them, and just building up a lot of goodwill, nurturing them some more, and making sure that the lead watches all the pre-call assets as well. And yeah. And yeah, those pre-call assets is what I call like a pre-call video. It's basically going to be a video that contains, or basically this is what's in the video. You're just hyping them up in the video, letting them know they just made a really great decision that's going to change their life, telling them like the next steps and kind of the expectations they should have for the call. Like, hey, you got to be in a quiet space, have internet, be on your desk, computer, things like that. And then you want to pre-sell them before the actual call, pre-sell them on the offer, handle any objections, answer any questions they might have that's like frequently answered questions, talk about the opportunity that they just, booked a call for, and lastly, go over any results or case studies that you guys have. Basically, if they consume this video and they, consume this video, it's going to just make the actual sales call a lot easier for your closers, because, yeah, we found out that like before we implement something like this, you don't have something like this, your close rate is just going to be a lot lower compared to having some sort of pre-call assets, nurturing them before the actual call. So definitely implement something like this. And then lastly, you want to just have reminders, making sure these people show up. We had automatic reminders and manual reminders as well. So for automatic, we just send an SMS and email 24 hours before, 6 hours before, an hour before, and 5 minutes before the actual call. And then on the actual emails itself, you want to just send them like simple reminders, letting them know, hey, your call is scheduled for X day, X time. That's week. What you want to do is on these emails, you want to nurture them some more. So this could be, so for us, we did like a case study emails for the first 2 emails. So, nurture them some more, showing that, these results and stuff is possible. So you want to do something like that on your emails. And then manually, you want to have your team reach out during these time frames as well. Manually reach out on like WhatsApp group chat, letting them know that the call is happening. So yeah, basically you have that dialed in, like your reminders, your show rate is going to be really high, especially once you do on the triage call. You have them also do virtual handshakes, show up to the call. Literally, I think out of our first 20 calls, we only had like 1 no-show. So literally, this goes crazy. And yeah, if you do all that right, this is how we end up with over, $37,000 with a guy with less than 3,500 followers for this launch. So yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. Literally dropped you guys all the sauce, exactly what we did step by step, showed you each phase that we did for the actual launch. And yeah, hopefully, you guys found this of value. And if you did, feel free, like, comment, subscribe, or definitely comment what you want to see more of. And if I see a lot of people, like a similar comment, then I'll make videos on that. But yeah, anyways, appreciate you guys watching the video. Feel free to, follow me on Instagram. And yeah, feel free to DM me as well if you have any questions regarding the actual video, or just, have any questions in general. I read my DMs and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching the video. Have a good one.